All right, everybody, welcome back to Scratch the Vinyl. You made it back for another week, and we are pumped that you did. We have something good going on here for you. We've kind of been going through some things, uh, all of us, but the show has got to go on. That's the way it is in podcasting. And I have my man, the guy. I'm talking about the entertainment monster, the Godzilla of karaoke, Randy, Mr. Chill Wilson. Randy, how are you doing?
Well, good morning, Mr. Cain Stevens.
We're back. I got my new glasses. I feel like Clark Kent again. You know, I'm back to it.
I always love when we get you back in the studio and we're doing another episode of Scratch the Vinyl. And of course, we're looking at doing something special today.
We are doing something special. I can't wait to get into it. I do want to talk to you about, first off, let's address the elephant in the room here. Unfortunately, we don't have our tripod here. We don't have the third part of the old tripod that holds us up. We don't have Brooke here. She's off joining the Avengers or the Justice League or something. But I know that she's going to be back real soon. But the show will press on. Randy and I have been, I think Randy, you've been nursing some foot stuff. What's been going on with you?
Well, I tell you what, we have all been in kind of a bad way a little bit, it seems, and working hard to keep the show going. But yeah, I've had a little issue with my ankle. Been on crutches here for now 2 weeks, trying to get over that. But it doesn't keep me from getting on and doing the podcast. So
the evil forces have been working against us. With that ridiculous government ban on different things. We lost TikTok. We lost some different, man. And one of those, I actually lost one of the softwares that I was using for all my video production and everything. So, this episode, as we go into this, is going to be perfect in talking to that about, the man kicking us down, all of this type of stuff. It's going to fit right in with it.
Well, I love that. Of course, we obviously must now have a new program. So here we are. So
we do. We do, but the learning curve is pretty ridiculous. Like this program that I'm using, I don't want to bore the audience, but I'll just briefly touch on it. It's basically like identical to the other one, but it's like 1,000 times harder, and I don't understand why. So I often find myself diving into different songs and different music just to like calm me down. Like maybe I'll put on the Carpenters or something to kind of chill me out. But man, I've been wanting to punch the screen here for a good, I don't know, how long is it? It feels like it's been going on for an eternity.
Well, maybe put on a little Rage Against the Machine. That'll do it.
As I trash the studio.
We're into our upper 40s now on episodes. And for our listeners out there that are tuning in today, if they haven't figured it out, you are our captain. And so we appreciate your editing abilities and to make this show run. So, let's tell them what we're going to do today.
Let's unveil the topic. Absolutely. We are going to do a massive series here, guys. We're going to do something that we're going to really dive into music, which is what this whole show is all about. I know that we're going to have guests in between. We're going to have things going on. Of course, we love that stuff, but we're going to really dive into the music and what the fans, what people get from listening to this type of stuff. So Rolling Stone put out a massive list, okay? Rolling Stone put out a list of the 100 best protest songs ever. And I love these lists. I don't know about you, Randy, but when I see these lists, I love Rolling Stone still in general. They're one of the last publications that I think is still awesome. But I can't wait to get into this list. How about you?
I got caught up really quick. I couldn't even get past the first 10 and realize, believe it or not, we're going to try to do a 10-part series on 100 songs. So each one tells a story. Each one has, some sort of either injustice or positive change message or in your face music. Each one kind of touches on something that I think affects everybody. And that's kind of, again, what this show's about, is what music does for us and how we relate. And in this case, maybe what it means to our culture.
Music and protests have been hand in hand forever. I mean, honestly, go to a metal show and throw up the horns and yell "F you" to the man every time you go to these shows. I mean, in the history of metal and punk, it's defiance, right? It's resistance. It's wanting to get away from the norms of regular society, and it comes out in the music, and that's why it's so brutal. That's why it's so honest. It's the same with rap, though, too, right? I mean, NWA and all these people who really paved the way. They were paving the way because they were sick and tired of the injustices going on in California and Los Angeles with the police department and with everything going on. So I can't wait to get into it. Let's do it.
In fact, I will. You know how we love quotes on this show, and we try to pull them out every once in a while. But one of my favorite quotes from Chuck D is, "They are the black CNN."
Yeah.
Music and protests have always been linked together. But you're right. You know what I like here is, between me and you, we've got a little bit of age difference, and so I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and so I have a little familiarity with, some of the what was the Vietnam protest stuff, and how music, that kind of the hippie hippie protests, a lot of the civil rights and stuff that came out of that era. And you're just enough younger than me that you were more surrounded with the, fight the power, and the that resistance, we want justice, the protest stuff. So I'm really looking forward to us kind of going through this a little at a time.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with the number 100. Let's start from the bottom and work our way to the top. I mean, talk about a long drum roll. Just imagine this long drum roll in your head as it's going on. This is going to be fun. I think you guys are going to enjoy it, and I really do suggest, as we talk to you about these songs, go and search on, say, Spotify or wherever for this playlist, that because Rolling Stone put out a playlist that coincides with it, and listen to these songs as we're talking about it. And I think that we're going to have a lot of fun with this. But here we go with the bottom of the list. Okay, so first off, we have Bonzo Goes to Washington, 5 minutes, the bombing mix. It's 1984. If you can take yourself to that time, there's a lot of things going on with Reagan and the country. They're kind of what's going on there, Randy? I mean, I was what, 2 years old when this happened.
Well,
What were the major things happening?
oh yeah, I'm very familiar with this. So, growing up during that time period, into it was the Cold War. And so you had this kind of nuclear war anxiety all the time. In fact, you know how kids today have to do, active shooter drills? We did, nuclear fallout drills. I mean, we had to go hide under our desk. We actually took time out of our school day to go hide under our desk. And not that I think that was ever going to save us from a nuclear fallout, but it just shows you in society, the anxiety from what that meant. I mean, we thought we could all die. The world powers to be could end it all for everybody. And of course, this song is a take from Ronald Reagan joking around about nuclear fallout. And it was, he goes into this 5 minute speech that he's going to end Russia and bombing starts in 5 minutes. And it was a joke, but it really wasn't a joke because the Russians picked up on it and were actively lighting up their nukes.
Isn't that wild? I mean, I can't even imagine a president. I'm sure the presidents do joke about this stuff, but to have it get out there like that, and the Russians are like, okay, we're going to arm our nukes right now. What a terrifying time.
I mean, fortunately, him and Gorbachev worked things out, but there for a minute, the fingers were on the buttons, whether we knew it or not. And so this song is a great parody to that time frame. Had that little P-funk bass, uh, kind of I don't know how to put it, just kind of a, a chilling effect.
Basically, it's just an instrumental dig at this whole thing, like taking it and taking the what they're calling is lighthearted and sampling it and making it into a song. It's pretty brilliant, honestly. I think it's a great opening to this list.
And if people don't really know who Bonzo Goes to Washington is, that was oh gosh, that was Talking Heads guitarist Jerry Harrison
Yep.
teamed up with P-Funk bassist Bootsy Collins.
Yeah.
So it was a little collaboration, a little remix, like I said, at a time period where we were all worried about nuclear war.
What's wild is they turned it into a dance floor,
I know.
like a dance, man. I can you imagine people out there like I don't break dancing and doing all sorts of wild stuff on the dance floor to this song.
Well, it had that little P-Funk sound. So I guess the way to look at it is, I guess if we're all going to go, let's have a good time.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. Well, I really enjoyed that song. I don't really want to do a rating system on these songs, but I will preface this by saying there are a lot of songs on here as I dig into it that I don't necessarily dig. And that's okay, right? I mean, I'm never going to crap on their art and say that they did a bad job or this and that because they did it at a high level, but I don't necessarily have to like the song to understand what the song's message is.
Yep, exactly. Well, their message was nuclear war anxiety.
Yes.
Might as well dance and have fun until we go.
That's what I'm gonna do if the nukes are armed and they give us 5 minutes. I'm just gonna pull on something, probably put on Limp Bizkit or something, and I'm probably gonna just smosh to myself and dance like Footloose.
Well, we can lead right into number 99 on the list, which I think has a little relevance to what's going on today. But the song is called Mexican Chef
By Xenia Rubinos, right?
Thank you. Sorry, audience. I was drawing a blank who the artist was. Xenia Rubinos, that's correct. And this was in 2016. This is kind of a shout out. This song is kind of a shout out against the New York social elites that kind of reminds us that, the black and brown people do all the dirty work. Is that a good way to put it?
I think it's perfect for this song. When you listen to it, the lyrics are so straightforward. I mean, it just all makes sense. I get exactly what you're saying.
I mean, it's got R&B, rock, a little Latin to it, but it's kind of got a funky groove. But it's just kind of this shout out. It's just kind of this shout out about all the people that do all these basically, in reality, important jobs that if they didn't do them, nobody would.
Right. Which goes to today's political scape and what's happening is the fact that we don't have to get I'm not even going to say that we don't have to get too political in our feelings, but I think it's important to talk about the politics and what are going on. So I think that's absolutely going on. So people should be blasting this now, especially. I mean, this is a Cuban Puerto Rican artist a female who's just kind of just angry with the elitist things going on in New York City and in Connecticut. And I really dig this song. I loved it.
Yeah, I think it was really to the point, and I think there's a lot, like you said, without getting too political about it. I think it just, again, it was a way to show that we are a melting pot in this country, and everybody has a place. And we shouldn't forget that. And we should realize that, jobs have to be done and somebody's filling them, and we should give them respect.
Well, what's interesting is usually you use music as an escape, right? From reality and from life. But this is a different thing because it's more of a targeted music. Like if you like protest music, you're kind of putting yourself in the opposite situation, but it's still calming you. So it's a really interesting dynamic when you listen to this stuff because you like the groove, you like what they're saying, But then if you really, if you're one that pays attention to the lyrics like I do, and I know you do too, Randy, is it can kind of put you in in a thought process. It really can.
Yeah, it's this combination of politically charged lyrics mixed with this total dance party track that you you find yourself grooving to, but subconsciously you're picking up these messages.
Well, the next song on our list in '98 was Heaven 17. We don't need this fascist groove thing. It was from 1981, and we're back to people being kind of frustrated with Reaganism and everything going on, aren't we? We went back to that again.
Yeah, yeah.
Anxiety.
This kind of goes along hand in hand with that song 5 Minutes. I mean, this is a total protest against fascism, against Reaganism, Thatcherism. You know, Reagan and Thatcher at the time were kind of the right side of the political spectrum at that time. Nuclear war anxiety and kind of a little call out to racism a little bit. You know, the nice thing about this song was it kind of had that kind of new electro punk, that synth pop kind of feel to it, and so this was a little different.
Yeah, it was. It was similar to Human League, which I also love. Yeah, well, I mean, what a time whenever I listen to songs like these, I find it really funny. I always picture a young Randy, sitting in the basement or wherever you in your bedroom, got the headphones on, blasting this stuff, man. I always do, and it puts a smile on my face.
I have to admit, in my circle of friends, I did listen to a lot of this kind of stuff, but I would not openly admit it. The best way to say this is that fortunately, there were certain girls in my class that turned me on to some of this music. So if they thought it was cool, I thought it was cool. Uh, but we used to have this thing about everybody says disco sucked,
Yeah.
but how come everybody had the Bee Gees "Staying Alive" album? If you know what I mean.
Exactly. So you guys were kind of just I think we talked about this with guests in the past, yeah, that grew up kind of in the same time. It's interesting to me that you guys liked this stuff, but it was definitely something you wouldn't talk about. You didn't want to be
Right.
ostracized by your bros who are talking about, hey, I'm listening to this.
I think we like what we hear, and so especially when we're talking about these protest songs, I think again some of these messages come out, and so we get that from the music, and we can connect to it, and so maybe we don't even realize it all the time what these messages are until later on. Like like now looking back, I go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But maybe at the time I was just really into the music.
Well, yeah, I wish I could play some of these clips for you guys. I just don't want the I don't want the man swatting me down and flagging our flagging our
I
videos.
know it's our way of protesting. We'll have to fight the man if we play too many audio clips for this series.
We are. I mean, can't they understand that if we were doing that, like we're trying to pump up the music. We're not trying to steal the music. We're not trying to make a bunch of money off of it. We're just simply trying to talk about it. I mean, I imagine some of these bands probably we would like somebody to talk about it so that they could get more streams. They could get more people listening. Well, let's move on to number 97 on the list. This one is Midnight Oil, Beds Are Burning. This is a song that I actually knew, that I've actually listened to, and never even made the connection that it was a protest song. I must have just dug what they were saying. I mean, not even necessarily what they're saying, but like the beat, everything. I must have got lost in the instrumental of it. But as I dive into it now, I can definitely see what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It's kind of what we're talking about. Like, I love this song. I mean, this was, 1987. This was for me just a little post high school time when I was really into a lot of music and a lot of different music. I mean, this was a hit. I mean, this was a hit song, and it was a an Australian band, that was basically um, shining a spotlight on, you know, what was happening over there with, land rights and, the government taking all the land from the Aboriginals. And so we could probably relate to that a little bit with here in America with taking the land from the indigenous Native Americans here. And so this was kind of a unique song that pretty much just said, give it back, give it back to the people. But this was a great song. In fact, it hit #1 in Canada and South Africa. So
Yeah.
it resonated to a lot of countries.
And it made radio here. I mean, I've heard this song quite a few times. Like I said, I'm shocked that I had no idea what it was about until this list reminded me what it was about.
Yeah, no, this was a really good song, and it was very popular. And yeah, it was. As soon as I hit it, I knew exactly. I mean, I knew what it was before I hit play, but I found myself knowing every word to this, all the words to the song. But this is a, like you said, probably didn't know it was a protest song, but now diving into it, realize how good it was.
The next song on the list on number 96, I got to admit to you, and this is the fun of doing this. I hope you guys are going to play along at home. Is I actually became a fan of this. I'd never heard of this artist before. I'd never heard his music. And I dove into his entire catalog of music after I listened to one song. And I'm pumped. And so I hope you guys do that. I hope that's how you guys experience music, because we are living in a great time where, yes, it's not as fun because you can still go and buy the physical copies, but they're $1 billion. But streaming makes it so easy to find all of this, everything that people put out that you would never be able to get to, or maybe the album isn't actually out on vinyl. So let's dive into this guy. It's McKinley Dixon. The song is Run, Run, Run from 2023. And man, it's a masterpiece. It really is. It tells the story of the concrete jungle and what Black America has to go through living in some of these places. I loved it. The from the jazz beat behind it to everything. It just had everything that I'd ever want in a hip hop song.
Yeah, I didn't know this song or this artist either, and I was really blown away. I really like that kind of jazz rap feel, and I'll just say this: I'll take a quote right from the song, and it is, "Until we found the only way for us to lift this curse, if we run to the places where they know our worth."
Yeah.
And so this song has some great lyrics, and it just kind of highlights that trauma and hope that change is going to come.
Well, then the chorus really sends it home with holding heavy hearts really makes it worse. You can feel the pain in this song. This is a prime example of what we love about lyrics and really diving into them is the poetry. It's not that I revel in their pain, but I understand their pain. I mean, if you're a person at all and you're not a lifeless robot or a serial killer, you can understand what these people are talking about, and you can really feel the pain in their hearts.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to add McKinley Dixon onto our Spotify playlist for our fans out there. I think this relatively new artist, like you said, and this will hopefully highlight some of his stuff and get some of our listeners checking him out.
Well, speaking of the playlist, yes, I will definitely be adding this stuff. I've been trying to add it here and there. I don't always get it in because the last, I would say 5 episodes, we've mentioned some, but I'm going to try to get a little bit of each artist that we're talking about into our playlist as well. But, which is the Scratch the Vinyl podcast playlist on Spotify. But also, I would tell you to go and just search Rolling Stone Top 100 protest songs, and you'll also find the entire list of this too. So at the very least, your homework for the for the course of this entire thing that we're doing is just simply listen to the music, listen to what they're saying, and take something from it.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This was some of the best homework for the show that I've done. Just getting to listen to some of these songs that I haven't either never heard before, or just even listening to a few songs that were favorites. So I love this what we're doing here.
That kind of leads us into the next song. We're getting halfway down this episode's list at 95. The Birds, Deportee, Plane, Wreck at Los Gatos. So everybody, I mean, the Birds are legendary. This is a deep cut. This is a song that I personally had never heard before, which I can't believe I hadn't. But I mean, this song is as classic as it gets. This song, when it comes to the Birds, it's just an unbelievable song. It has that it has kind of a Spanish flair to it. It's just, man, I really love this one.
Well, obviously, this is still kind of relevant in today's world, is it not? I mean, this song was in response to this. It was this outrage against the media that kind of overlooked this plane crash that had happened in 1948 when they were deporting 28 immigrants, and it crashed in California. And basically the media named all the Americans that had died in the crash, but basically just called the immigrants deportees, and basically they were just nameless. And so you have the Birds kind of picking up this kind of anthem from Woody Guthrie's take on just this kind of dehumanizing immigrants that come into our country.
Well, what's so interesting about this song is it tackles a topic from the time, which is 1969, where you're not even thinking about this. You're thinking probably, if you look at that date, you're thinking it's probably the flower child thing, right? They're probably protesting a war or something, but they chose to dive into something. And what's interesting is, like I said before, it has kind of a weird Spanish, but it's basically, I mean, it's a country song if you ask me. Like, if I had to put this on a list, it is as country as anything. It's got slide guitar. It's unbelievable. It's another hit by the Birds.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. I mean, the song is about a plane crash in 1948. They're singing and write about it in 69, and here we are in 2025, and we still basically have this issue. And so I guess this anthem song will carry on for a long time.
I think there's no doubt about it. I'm glad they put this on the list. This is another one of those deep cut dives that I had no idea that I was going to be on that particular journey as I was going through just these 10. So I just can't wait to get ahead in the list. And I hope that you guys, as you're listening to it, look forward to so much more and diving into it. But right now, I think is as good a time as any to run the new Elegant Sasquatch ad and then talk about some of our sponsors, the people's, places, and things. Yes, I said people's, who keep this show going and really do a lot of good for the community and for everybody here in our wonderful city of Lincoln. So let's run that right now.
Welcome to the Late Late Show with your host, Squatch.
Welcome to the show, everybody. We have a controversial guest tonight. He claims to have the world's smelliest beard and doesn't plan to do anything about it in the foreseeable future. Let's bring him on right now. He wants to be brought on by what he goes by on his socials, Toxic Beard 87.
Hey, calm down. Don't hate the smells if it sells.
Hello, my toxic friend. Let me ask you something. With brands like the Elegant Sasquatch Beard Company, why do you choose to smell like a rotten egg on Easter?
It all started when I was 16 years old. My beard was growing like a forest full of pine trees, and it was time for me to find a delicious scent to make Cindy Jo fall in love with me. I found a beard oil in a store, and I thought for sure she was going to be mine. I caked it on, and I was so proud of the way I smelled and how I looked. As soon as I saw Cindy Jo, I went running over to her, but instead of her embracing me and taking me in, she told me to go away and told me I smelled terrible. It was the worst day of my life. It was right then that I vowed that I would never put another product in my beard again. And so here I am, Toxic Beard Guy 87, and I'm not going anywhere.
Well, if I'd gone through that, it'd been tough for me to show my face again, too. But luckily, there's companies like the Elegant Sasquatch Beard Company that have multiple products that'll have girls like Cindy Jo melting in the palm of your hand.
Sasquatch, do you really think that there's a product for me?
Yes, my friend. There are beard balms, beard oils, beard butters, and beard washes that will make your whiskers the talk of the town. You'll be smelling like a dozen roses, and you'll be looking the best you've ever looked.
I would give anything to get Cindy Jo to talk to me just once again. Where can I get this amazing product?
Head on over to elegantsasquatchco.etsy.com and find yourself getting lost in the amount of items that they have to offer, including beard boxes as well, with a full line of some of their favorite products.
There's only one thing left to do. I'm going to go over to Etsy right now, and I'm going to buy as much product as I can, and I'm going to find Cindy Jo, and I'm going to win her over. Thanks again, Squatch.
You heard it here, folks. We changed his mind. Next on the show, we'll have a doll with an eating disorder. Then we'll have squirrels riding skateboards. Till then, head on over to Etsy right now. Tell them that the Scratch the Vinyl podcast sent you.
All right, and now, as promised, the local roundup. You know you look forward to this thing. So let's talk about what's going on this weekend. Let's start at Gray's Keg. Friday night, there's a benefit for Dina, I believe it's Vikers. I could be wrong. She was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer after losing her son to a brain aneurysm. And I can't think of a better cause to go out and help somebody. So get out there to Gray's Friday night. They've got, it looks like Hellenbach, but I think it might be Hellenbach. I'm not sure. But they have that band again from Nebraska City. They also have Twisted Chrome, who is really good. They seem to be rocking all the stages here in Lincoln. That starts at 5 p.m. and it goes until, who knows, until they kick you out of the place or the police kick you guys out. Who knows? But go there, support that cause, donate some money, and help out. You know, we got to help our Lincolnites out. People are hurting out there, and it sounds like Dina is hurting pretty bad. So get there. On Saturday, Gray's has another band. They have Your Father's Mixtape. It's a high energy band, probably what your dad's listening to when he's, rolling around in his Corvette or his Camaro, high-fiving his buddies. You know what it is. But I did check out these guys on YouTube, and they've got some killer, like Rage Against the Machine covers. They've got Alice in Chains cover. These guys seem to be doing pretty darn good. So I would go check those guys out. If I wasn't doing something this weekend, I would be there immediately. But I would suggest you do. Hey, you never know. Maybe I'll pop in there anyway. Give you a high five as we're listening to it. So go to that. If you're hungry, go to the Tam. Get yourself the best burger in town. They've got prime rib. They've got everything you can think of under the sun and for great prices. Let's not forget about Roots Music Shop. Never forget about them. Don't forget about Ryan. Get yourself those instruments. Go get a guitar. Impress your friends. Impress the ladies out there. Heck, just hold the darn thing and you'll look cool. Go there. See Ryan. High five him. Tell him that Scratch the Vinyl sent you. And I promise you, he will high five back and not punch you in the face and kick you out or something. Ryan's the best. Go to Roots Music Shop. Now let's hear a message from Randy, and then we'll get back to our protest songs from Rolling Stone.
Well, speaking of local roundup, obviously I encourage everybody to come out and hang out with me on Friday nights down at Matson's Bowling and Billiards here in Lincoln for Rockin' Bowl. I mean, it's just been a great place featuring a lot of great local bands. It's no cover. It's a good time. If you guys are just in the northeast area of town and looking for some live music, come out and hang out and say hi to me. Tell me you enjoy the show. I've got a few people that are now wearing their Scratch the Vinyl t-shirts when I show up every Friday night. So that's been exciting. And again, keep supporting local live music.
All right. I hope you guys didn't fast forward through the ads and the local roundup. If you did, shame on you. I'll probably come to your house and I'll hold the boombox over my head like John Cusack, and I'll make you listen to it anyway. So you might as well listen to it the first time. But go check out those places that we mentioned and tell them that Scratch the Vinyl sent you. Now let's move on with our list. We're on to 94 right now. It's Molotov, Give Me the Power. This was a really cool song, Randy. I know that you probably, it was interesting because, I mean, it was in Spanish, but I dug it the whole way through. I mean, I don't know if you know this about me, but on my mom's side of the family, we are Hispanic on my mom's side. So I don't know. It kind of has a certain place in my heart. It makes me feel something when I see this. But this is a protest song through and through when you listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's about economic inequality in Mexico. And I had never heard this song, and I didn't know the band, and it was out in '97. But I do understand why you like it, because this was this kind of super blend between rock and rap, and it kind of had that all-inclusive middle finger to the establishment.
I mean, here we go. I'll give it a shot, okay? ¿Por qué estar siguiendo a una bolar de pendejos? Why follow a bunch of assholes? I mean, I hope I didn't butcher the Spanish too much, but that pretty much says it all.
Like I said, definitely the middle finger to the establishment. And yeah, I mean, this apparently, I did a little research on this. This album was banned, like for its messaging. Like the Mexican government were coming after these guys for this song. But guess what? Didn't keep it out of the dance floors. Didn't keep it out of the out of the hands of the people that were fighting this inequality. And so, yes, another song that we probably never heard of before, but has a super strong message and a super strong beat. And I think anybody that's kind of even remotely into that Spanish music at all, that really wants that loves that kind of hard rap rock beat, they will like this song.
It really was amazing. I would have never, ever even known about this. I mean, this is what I love about the list. I wouldn't have known these guys. I wouldn't have heard this song. It wouldn't have been on my radar. And now it is. I love it. I got to admit, though, I kind of love me some. I like some of the music where it's from other places. I listen to French music a lot, where it's like French acoustic, like jazz players singing French. I listen to, and I just listen to so much, and I listen to a lot of. There was a nice movement during the new metal era, which was kind of my heyday of metal and music, where there were Spanish bands coming out and putting together really good rap rock. And so I would invite you to go listen to that. And I'm sure there's plenty of protest music and all of that. I can't think of a time that wasn't more volatile than some of those times.
Well, I'll admit right now, doing as many karaoke shows that I've done over the years and doing now, I've added actually a lot of this type of music to my karaoke catalog. And I'm always pleasantly surprised how many people come out to my shows and actually request it. And I shouldn't be surprised, but actually, I get a lot of it right now.
It doesn't shock me. It's kind of like the K-pop movement, right? I mean, K-pop is so huge with the South Korean music that kids are absolutely nuts over. I mean, my kids, I can't even tell you how much we dumped into buying like their albums and posters, stickers, and all of that stuff. What a moneymaker on that. But I can definitely see it. Have you seen a lot of K-pop in some of what you've been doing, and people been requesting those?
Yes, just kind of, I want to say mostly recently, but I think that's because it's always depends on where my shows are and the kind of clientele that comes in. And I've been doing some new shows in some areas that kind of allowed me to get some of those people to come in. And so I know it's hard when I have a following that's kind of the same for over the years, but I really do enjoy some of the new crowds that come in and really change the dynamic of my shows with a lot of this new music.
Well, I think you're being humble, my friend. I think of all I've seen a lot of karaoke people come and go, including myself, who was in the business. And one thing that you and I talk about a lot is the hardest thing, the biggest successor out there, and this isn't easy to do, is you're very good at starting new groups. Okay. Some groups they come and go, they disappear, they get married, right? They have kids, they do all they don't they're no longer want to be alcoholics. I don't know. They don't have a good time anymore. They don't come out, but you're really good at bringing in the new groups. So I love that you get to see like the newer generations coming through and what they like.
I totally agree. I do enjoy that. I think that's what keeps me in it, to be honest with you, is that I love the fact that we can get some different, not just music, but tastes. And I love to see that even these younger generation kids are not only exposing me to some of the newer stuff, but they still have a connection to some of the older stuff. And so I just kind of love that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you're a master at it. You're the ultimate when it comes to blending in with these crowds and really showing them a good time, which is why I loved working with you. Us two together were like Godzilla and Mothra. We were knocking down buildings. We were partying with the people. We were men of the people, and that's what you need to be.
I do still feel fortunate that in some ways, I'm still pretty young at heart. I love the fact that I can, and I know that's why we do this show. And I know the people that are still listening is that we all have a connection to music. And what I do with my shows and karaoke is just another way of doing that. And when you can get a group of people connecting to anything, it's awesome. I mean, nothing's better than a small venue with 100 people packed in there, all jam into the same thing.
Well, yeah, and so many different types of people. And since we are talking about karaoke and protests, as we get down the list, I'm sure somewhere Rage Against the Machine has to be there. But I will share a small story with you. I've always been a rebellious heart. I don't know why. I was always in the principal's office. I fought a lot as a kid. I don't know what it was. As a youth, I just was so anti everything that what people were telling me to do, right? And so as I got into karaoke, I can remember at the end of the night, the big thing was for a while was everyone wanted to sing Closing Time, right? By Semisonic. It makes sense. But it was like, I thought to myself, what would be a great way to get the whole crowd involved, have a good time, and really make an impact? So I started doing Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine. And let me tell you, having a crowd of people at the end of the night as they're telling you to leave, saying, F you, I won't do what you tell me. There's just something to it that, man, I know that the bar probably hated me for it, but I can remember the bar staff dancing and jumping around and people just going nuts while we all did this song together as a big group. And so, I mean, if anything, we were protesting leaving, which you shouldn't do. You should exit the building as soon as I tell you.
I'm not going to lie. I have pulled that out of my hat a few times as well. And yes, you can't do it all the time because then all of a sudden the crowd thinks they don't ever have to leave. But there is nothing like getting the whole bar ramped up with little rage against the machine at closing time. And it definitely will rally the troops.
For all the wrong reasons.
Right. You almost want them to, hey, let's take that outside. I knew that about you. I knew you had a little Rage Against the Machine in you.
I did. I don't know what it was about me. That's why I think these protest songs resonate with me so much, because when I started in music, I started around the punk scene and in the metal scene. And so everywhere I went was a big resistance. I mean, everywhere it was like I would go to house shows with these punk bands and different things, and they would get broke up. I mean, we would be like in a battle with the police, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying the police are bad. I'm not one of those people. I'm just saying, like, people would be getting roughed up because the crowd would be so wild over them shutting the party down. It was crazy times.
Oh man. Well, I guess that leads us into our next song, which is "I'm Illegal" by Team Dresch.
Another one I'd never heard of, honestly. Never would have even been on my radar at all on this one. It's they're tackling lesbian life and gay rights, correct?
Yeah, and it was specifically in the northwest corner of the country at the time. The lyrics, uh, pretty to the point, and which was basically it was about discrimination and kind of living that lesbian lifestyle in the 90s.
Well, and these lyrics are so honest. Like as honest as rap lyrics. You say you have a ban on affection. Did I hear you right? Then later it says, sometimes I think I've even done something wrong. I mean, talk about honesty to the point where they've kind of beat it into their head where you start questioning yourself. You start asking, am I wrong for being who I am? Am I wrong for doing this? It's a really interesting song. It's not necessarily my cup of tea. Has nothing to do with the message. I appreciate the message. The song itself was not my cup of tea.
Well, it kind of had that punk feel to it. I kind of liked it a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I kind of like a little of that punk, post punk stuff. And so, um, and kind of growing up in the 90s, I kind of, I could kind of relate to it a little bit. And obviously the message was pretty clear. It was just, we love who we want to love. And, why are we being discriminated for it?
I couldn't agree more. I wish that message would resonate with everybody. I wish people would just leave everybody alone. Mind your own damn business. You know what I mean? And just let people go about their lives. Like I think that it'd be such a better world. Maybe I'm getting too kumbaya here, but I really do feel that way. I've always felt that way. I've never had an issue with anybody of any color, sexuality, or anything because I don't see the point of it.
Yeah, well, obviously, look, I mean, this movement here, this was in the late '90s, early 2000s. We did see some change from that movement moving forward. Marriage equality did happen, and so again, protest song had an impact. It rallied people together, and whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, music was still a factor, and putting a spotlight on issues that were happening.
Well, it honestly reminded me of a movie, which was strange. As I'm listening to the song and listening to the lyrics, it reminded me of the movie Higher Learning, which I don't know if you remember that movie, but it was basically a campus that was just mixed with all sorts of things like any campus going on. But there were racial tensions with the Nazis. There were people who were against people being gay. There were all sorts of different things there, and it's so interesting because it reminded me of certain scenes where people are just out there together, right? Maybe a couple men are out there holding hands or something, and here comes this Nazi group. And I know that's kind of like an extreme, but it just kind of made me think of this where they're getting beat up and they're getting bullied and pummeled because of who they are. So I think that this song, even though I didn't dig the I don't know what it was that was off putting to me. I don't know if it was the instrumental or what. I usually dig this stuff. This one I didn't, but I love the message.
Oh yeah, I remember that movie. But you're right. That was, I think, and that movie is a lot what we're talking about. It's that it puts all these different groups together. It's like, and then stirring the pot. And of course, if you've seen the movie, it does end in tragedy. And so hopefully maybe we learn from those mistakes, I guess.
Spoiler alert from 30 years ago.
Yeah,
You haven't
go
watched.
check it out. I think you can find almost every movie now on Hulu or Netflix or whatever.
It's been playing for free on that. The reason it even came up was I've watched it like 5 times. I generally watch Pluto, which is free all the time, and they play great movies, and that's one of them that's been cycling through. So I've been watching that one. And just the racial tensions. I mean, Ice Cube's in it. I'm wearing the Ice Cube
Oh
shirt.
yeah,
It makes me. I mean, what a masterful performance by him. Omar Epps, Busta Rhymes is in there. I mean, what a gem! If you younger generation people who are watching haven't seen this movie, you really should. I think that it will definitely open your eyes, especially to that time. It's a timepiece for sure.
You'll have to look and see what the soundtracks for that movie were.
Oh, I guarantee it's yeah. We should sometime. I remember our soundtracks episode, and I kind of remember that soundtrack in particular being really good.
Well, I suppose let's move on to the next one, number 92.
92 on the list. We only got a couple left here. This one is Annie DeFranco, and the song is "Fuel" from 1998. I mean, I want to ask you first before I give any take. How did you feel about this song?
You know, it is kind of a unique song. It's kind of this blend of kind of rap, methodical talking, and with a little pop. I mean, it's a shout out against oppression and the death penalty, and just kind of rebel against the mainstream in general. I don't think I necessarily thought it was a great song, but I did understand the message clearly. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes perfect sense. I love that it was a Y2K era society song, which was right in my, I mean, right when I was in high school, right in my wheelhouse. But I never once heard this in any in any circles that I was in. So that could probably, but I listened to a lot of really aggressive music back then. Everything had to be aggressive. Everything had to be pounding, and whether it was either gangster rap for me or it was metal all the time. Boom, 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 nonstop. So I can see why this one didn't catch me. The song itself, I mean, it reminded me of listening to like a like the Nickelodeon guy, Fred Penner, or somebody with a guitar. It did nothing. The music itself, I would never listen to an album of this, but I did like the message. I did see where she was going with it.
I mean, yeah. It was a protest against the elections at the time, and just kind of that, where you just kind of wanted to kind of ignore the media. And yeah, I don't remember ever hearing this song. And so this was a new one for me as well. Again, I just go back. I understood the message. I just don't know how well it resonated, and
Right.
maybe that's where we're going with this. I don't. This is a protest song, but I don't know how well it resonated with everybody.
Well, it's definitely interesting. I mean, she tackles a lot of things, like you said. I mean, basically all of mainstream, everything from Hollywood blockbusters to marketing campaigns to presidential elections, pop music, everything, all in one song. So I can definitely dig that. If we want to dive into the lyrics, maybe I should put a bucket over my head and a marshmallow in each ear and stumble around for another dumb, numb week for another humdrum hit song to appear. Those are great lyrics. Those are killer.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I totally get the message. It's basically saying we're sheep, and we go with whatever the mainstream tells us. We like the movies that they give us. We like the music that they allow us to hear. Except for, I think that's why me and you don't get this song, is that me and you actually, we do look for those hidden gems. We like the indie music scene, and we love creative artists, and so we should like this, but for some reason it just didn't click with me.
It almost comes off as a comedy song to me, like a parody song like that. And it has that, it reminds me of the Liz Fair, type thing and that era music, which was great. But I would definitely not put this in the echelon of that. But I'm sure there are Andy DeFranco fans out there, and they're probably shaking their fists in the sky, wanting to
Yeah,
protest.
we don't want Andy DeFranco fans mad at us. I mean, we do understand the struggle on this one. We do get it. We do get it. In fact, that's what we do. We are bringing we take this show away from what mainstream is telling you. We're exposing people to different music right now, and that's what hopefully maybe when people check this out, we'll take from that.
I think Annie DeFranco would be fine with us not humdrumming away, as she says, and being robots. We have a take on this. This is how we feel. I think she's probably fine with it.
Yeah, we're not really going out on the big limb here, are we?
No, not on that one. That's not a hill I want to die on by any means, but a hill that I do want to die on is this last song on the list. And I definitely want to put some time into talking about these guys, because these guys are Omaha natives. These guys are Nebraska royalty when it comes to being successful in music. It's Bright Eyes, everybody. And When the President Talks to God, this from 2005 is an absolute masterpiece.
Well, obviously, it's nice to have a little connection to our Nebraska ties here with the show in this first part of our series. And here it is. These guys were the biggest protests against George Bush, and that basically this idea that you have these religious values, yet your actions don't speak that way. You're willing to send people off to war for the sake of oil, but you preach that you care about everybody. And now this is a strong protest song.
Yeah, they even compare it in the article to Bob Dylan-esque, and I think that they're not wrong on this. I think that that's actually a brilliant assessment, especially when you listen to it. And I think there's a ton of Bob Dylan on this list, which I can't wait to get into. But for me, it's so interesting to have someone who grew up in the same area as we did, right? Feeling the same feelings that we do, but they're doing something about it. And that's what really resonates with me. And by the way, Connor Oberst, if you're out there, and I know you're listening, I want Bright Eyes on the show. At some point, that is a reigning moment for us if we can get you on the show.
Well, I do know they just put out some new music.
They did.
So anybody that knows, maybe we should need to reach out, and love to get Connor Oberst here on Scratch the Vinyl.
I'm shooting for them, and I'm shooting for anyone in 311. those are on my wish list. So Brooke always talks about, how she has manifested things, and she has manifested some crazy things for me personally, like going to Greta Van Fleet for free, meeting and having Johnny Paycheck's son at Kelly's Pub. But I'm going to have her work her witchy magic, and I'm going to have her get us those two. If I can get those two things on this show, I feel like we've accomplished something locally for sure.
I was just going to say, this is about the time Brooke will call into the show while we're doing this episode and go, hey, guys, by the way, I just talked to somebody, and we're going to have all the members of 311 on.
Didn't the lead singer buy didn't he own like an island at one point? Like they're like far more massive than I ever even knew.
Yeah, again, this is just another example, Bright Eyes, just another example of another great indie band that shows that Nebraska, the Midwest, we have a ton of talent. And here's a group that's not afraid to call out the hypocrisy in politics and policy, and this connection with religion. And if you really care about people, show it.
It shows a lot of the angst too of living in the Midwest and being in areas where religion is pushed pretty heavy and everything. I mean, I will definitely put my religious beliefs behind me for the sake of this argument, but I absolutely understand what they're saying and why people get tired of our politicians using religion as a reason to do something terrible, right? And not care about people and do the opposite of what they're saying in the name of religion. It's kind of like learning about the Crusades. And
this is history for sure.
Yeah. If we're going to dive into it, but I don't think that it necessarily embodies the true nature of the religion or this and that. I truly don't. But the men that are using this to their advantage, it disgusts me.
Well, can you believe we already got through the bottom 10 of the top 100 already?
Can you believe we are going to try to tackle all 100 in one show? It's not possible.
Yeah, we realized pretty quick that this idea and this concept was going to be bigger than we thought, and so it was a good idea to break it down. I look forward to us doing the next 10 on the list, and I hope our listeners will kind of follow us on this journey. And I do look forward to us bringing on maybe some unique guests that will help us touch on some of these songs as we get to them, and maybe have some other takes that maybe me and you don't have. And I look forward to keep going on this journey.
Yeah, this is for me, this is as fun as it gets. Like for me, talking about I could talk about this for hours, and trust me, I will as we hit record. But I can't. Yeah, the hour flew by fast, and I'm just pumped about this. I hope you guys are too. Go to those lists, listen to the songs, play along with us, comment to us, email us at scratchthevinylpodcast@gmail.com. You guys can get a hold of us on all of our socials. We're on Facebook, we're on the gram, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're everywhere. So get a hold of us. We want to hear what you guys have to say. Keep listening. Randy, do you have anything in closing before we get out of here?
Yeah, well, I was going to add on to that.
Yes.
We now have officially we have our whole catalog now downloaded on YouTube. And so nothing helps supports what we do more than going to YouTube, hitting subscribe, getting those notifications, and liking what we're doing, and leave us comments, give us ideas. We love to hear from more from our listeners, and it'll help us bring more and different content to you guys here in the future. Otherwise, big shout out to Big Red out there. We hope to get Brooke back in the studio with us soon. And, to all of our fans out there, have another great week, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time as we dive into the best guests, the best content, and just music in general. So thank you guys for listening. We'll see you on the other side next time on
Scratch the Vinyl.
Yeah.